And so today, I'll be signing, or I have signed, an executive order that grants the request from both Miami-Dade and Broward to move them into phase 1 of the reopening for the state of Florida. Now, when I announced phase 1, we followed the White House guidelines, but we didn't even do everything that they said you could do in phase 1. So it was kind of a limited phase 1. It was a safe step. It was a smart step, but it was done step by step because we think that's the best way to build confidence. And so Miami and Broward will be in a similar vein with that. And part of the reason why I think that this makes sense is because they've progressed nicely in terms of dealing with the epidemic. If you look at the case numbers and the percentage of new individuals testing positive in Miami-Dade, it's far below in the last 10 days what it was in the beginning of April, where they were having over 500 cases a day. If you look, actually, the cases yesterday was the only time it's been above 250, I think, since May 4th, but that was because we've had the outbreak at Homestead Correctional Institute. So you've had over 100 cases from a prison, which is obviously an issue, but it's not really reflective of cases in the community. And likewise, Miami's percent positive test results have gone down significantly. In fact, have been under 10% every day in the last 2 weeks, except for yesterday, which was, of course, driven by the prison outbreak. ICU 2 weeks ago in Miami, on 4/29, Miami-Dade had 197 patients, COVID patients in the ICU. As of last night, it was 126. That's a 36% decrease in COVID positive ICU patients. Ventilators, 120 patients on ventilators on April 29th. Last night, 68 patients COVID positive on ventilators. That's a 43% decrease. So the trends have been positive, the work has been effective, and so moving Miami-Dade to phase 1 complies with the criteria that were set out by the White House, but also is the sensible thing to do given the progress that's been made. And I think the story is similar in Broward County. Influenza and COVID-like illnesses have both been on a downward trajectory really since March. The percent positive of new cases has steadily declined. It was 7.7% on April 29th for new cases. On May 12th, it was 4.4%. There was a time when Broward was testing 15, 16%, were coming back positive. They're now, even all the tests from the whole time are now under 10%. So that's a really good trend. The ICU 2 weeks ago to today, 44% decrease in ICU patients in Broward County. Ventilator patients 2 weeks ago versus today, a 56% decrease in Broward County. So I think the data and the facts are very clear that Southeast Florida, even though they had to face the most significant epidemic in the state of Florida, they flattened the curve. Their hospitals were never overwhelmed. In fact, they had a lot of space throughout most of this period, and they are ready to move to phase 1. Now, Dade and Broward both submitted plans that I've approved. They're not going to have identical approaches in every respect. And I think that makes sense because even though we can look at Southeast Florida from the vantage point of other parts of Florida as being kind of a unique region, everyone who's down here knows there's a big difference between Broward and Miami-Dade. They're very diverse places. And so they're not going to have the exact same approach on everything, but they are collaborating and coordinating on key issues that will affect both counties and will affect the Southeast region.